So children, welcome back. Let us have a quick review of our lesson that we have viewed through our video modules. Now, what is reproduction? What did I tell you? The production of new organisms from the existing organisms of the same species is called reproduction. Why is it essential? Definitely for the survival of a species, for the continuation of a species. Otherwise, all the species will stop existing on the earth after a certain period of time, and reproduction gives rise to more organisms with the same basic characteristics as that of the parents, and the newly born ones are called the young ones or the offspring. There is a new word called offspring. We use the word offspring also for the young ones that are born after reproduction. What are the modes of reproduction? Basically, there are two modes of reproduction. They are asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction means the production of a new organism from a single parent. That means no gametes are there, no sex cells are there. That is called asexual reproduction. Example, binary fission. Then what is the other form of reproduction? It is called the sexual reproduction, when the production of new organisms take place from two parents by making use of their sex cells or gametes. Example, in the human beings and in the frogs, etc., sexual reproduction occurs. Now we go over to the male cell and the female cell. And animals or the organisms having the male cells or male gametes, what are the male gametes called? They are called the sperms. Sperms are released by the male body. Whereas the female gametes, what are they called? They are called the eggs or the ova, and it is released by the female body. So the cell involved in sexual reproduction, they are called gametes. Instead of cell, we use the word gamete. And the male gametes are called sperms and the female gametes are called eggs or ova. The sperms, I told you, it is a male gamete, but it is a single cell. Like any other cell, it has got a cell nucleus, it has got a nuclear membrane, etc. And the sperms also have got a tail-like structure which helps it to move. The egg also is a female gamete that is also a single cell. The human egg is round in shape and has got about 0.15 millimeter only diameter. And what is a zygote? The cell that is formed by the fusion of the male gamete and the female gamete is called the zygote. Zygote is also a single cell. Now we learned about fertilization. What is fertilization? It is a fusion of the male gamete with the female gamete. And what does it form? It forms a zygote. And during sexual reproduction only, the formation of zygote takes place. It is called fertilization. Zygote means fertilized egg. It's of two types, internal fertilization and external fertilization. Just look at the differences between internal and external fertilization. In internal fertilization, the sperms are deposited in the female reproductive tract. That means fertilization occurs inside the female body. Whereas in the external fertilization, female releases eggs into the environment and the male fertilizes them externally. In internal fertilization, only few zygotes are formed, whereas in external fertilization, many zygotes are produced. In internal, there is more protection for the growing embryo, getting its nutrients, etc. from the mother's body. But here, less protection for the development of the embryo. More damages can take place. The eggs and all can get damaged. Very few offsprings will actually survive in the case of external fertilization. Now we go over to sexual reproduction in the animal. The whole process of sexual reproduction in the animals involves the formation of sperms and eggs, I told you. And sperms and the eggs fuse together to form the zygote. And development of the zygote takes place into a development of the zygote to a baby occurs. So this is the summary of sexual reproduction. The male parents, I told you, they produce sperms. The female parent produces the ova. The sperms enter and fuse with the eggs. The nucleus of the sperm fuses with the nucleus of the egg cell to form a new cell called zygote. And the zygote then divides repeatedly to form cells called the embryo. And the embryo then grows and becomes a fetus in the beginning stages of life. After say about 8 weeks, it is called a fetus. And the fetus then grows and develops into a new baby animal. Even in the human body also, it is taking place like that. You can look at the screen. Sperm fuses with the egg and forms the zygote. The male reproductive system we learned. Let us have a brief summary of that. The male reproductive organs consist of the testis, the scrotum, the epididymis, the sperm ducts, seminal vesicles, and the penis. The real reproductive organs are the testis, and testis releases the sperms, and from the male body, the sperms pass through into the female body. In the female reproductive organs also consists of the ovaries, oviduct, uterus, and the vagina. The ovaries are the real reproductive organs, and the ovaries release the eggs or the ova. And in human beings, only one matured egg is released every month. And the fertilization of the egg by the sperms take place in the oviduct. So these are the diagrams of the male and the female reproductive organs. You may just draw them in your notebook. Now we go over to fertilization. What is fertilization? The first step in the process of reproduction is called fertilization. I told you what is fertilization? The fusion between the sperm and the egg. Such fusion or fertilization can take place in two ways, that is external fertilization or internal fertilization. So the process of fertilization, I told you, you are getting the sperms and the eggs from both father and mother. That is why we inherit the characteristics from the father as well as from the mother. So fertilization that takes place inside the female body is called internal fertilization. That is happening in the case of human beings, cows, dogs, hen, etc. And when it takes place outside the body of the female, it is called external fertilization. It may take place in the water, as is happening in the frogs and toads. You might have observed that during the rainy season, the frogs and the toads, they move to the pond and the slow flowing water bodies. When the male and the female come together, the female starts laying hundreds of eggs. These eggs are not covered by a shell and they are very, very soft, not like the hen's egg. Hen's eggs are a little more harder, but these eggs are very, very delicate. A layer of jelly like liquid, holds the eggs together and provides protection to the eggs. As the eggs are laid, the males also deposit the sperms over them. Each sperm goes on swimming randomly in the water with the help of its tail, and the sperms, when they come in contact with the egg, results in fertilization. So this type of fertilization taking place outside the body of the frog is called external fertilization, and is found mainly in the frogs, fishes, etc.